Hi, I'm Eoin.
And I'm Rachel.
Welcome back and thanks again for tuning in for another episode of No Clients Were Harmed. If you're new here, myself and Rachel are psychotherapists who take our jobs very seriously, but ourselves not at all. We will be talking about the messy, funny, frustrating side of therapy. It's going to be mental health, but let's not get dramatic.
If you are enjoying listening to our conversations, we would love to hear from you with your comments or questions. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and the No Clients Were Harmed website. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you're listening. And please do share it with someone who would enjoy listening to us and maybe could do with a bit of a crash course in therapy.
We all have a friend that could do with a crash course in therapy, let's be honest.
We definitely do. We're going to name this episode Gender Wars because Eoin is all about the drama, but we'll actually be taking a look at gender norms and expectations today.
With this first series, what we wanted to do was an introduction into the main themes that we come across in our work as psychotherapists. We're covering the basics. When we do future series, we'll look at the more complex issues, and that's when we'd be looking at gender identity.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be limiting our engagement with that today out of respect for the fact that we haven't established a foundation for that topic yet.
Mm-hmm.
So back to today, what's in the room for us, we would like to explore how we view ourselves and define who we are.
Then we'll move into our It's Giving section. And today it's giving gender wars. Thank you, Eoin. How our definitions of our gender expectations for ourselves and for our desired partners impact our relationships. Finally, then we'll go into Spill the Tea. And today we'll be meeting Collin, who has aspirations of being a bad boy and is not quite sure how to go about it. No, we're not turning into a makeover show, so you'll just have to stay with us and see where it leads.
Yeah, you said bad boy there as if you've never met a bad boy in their lives, or it's like, you're patting him on the head saying, oh, you're such a bad boy. I don't know what that was. That you have never met a bad boy.
No,
You've never had a conversation with girlfriends about the appeal or the attraction of a bad boy or what a bad boy might mean for you. No. You haven't. Okay, brilliant.
Just our conversation every day in the group chat. Yeah.
All right, okay, thank you. God, I was thinking this is going to be the driest episode ever, but apparently there is going to be some material there.
I can pull up some receipts, no problem.
So, as usual, we've got a lot to get through, so we better get started. So today in the room, we're going to be looking at how we identify ourselves and as clients, how that can create roadblocks for progress. What was in my mind when I was kind of thinking about this section was how clients tell me who they are. And when they're telling me, they're telling themselves. And it seems to be this sort of script that they have taken on from their families, from their friends, from society, from social media. And there is an awful lot of pressure out there at the moment with how men should be men, how women or girls should be women or girls, and what kind of people we are underneath all that. What's your experience of that? Is it that bad on social media?
It is. Oh my gosh, yeah, it is. I think particularly with separating who you are with who you should be, I think that's where it comes into the room a lot of the time for me. I am this way, or like really rigid statements about our sense of self. And I found myself doing it as well, to be honest. I found myself kind of saying, well, I should be doing this, or I should be this type of woman, or I should be really productive, even if we take something like that. Like the concept of productivity on social media a lot of the time is like, I should be working harder, or I should be.
Yeah. And like, I'm having a kind of physical reaction to the amount of shoulds that you said there. Like,
I know,
as
because it's so much pressure.
Yeah, but like as therapists, we have aversions to it. Like we shouldn't be saying should, and we should encourage our clients not to say should, right?
Yeah.
So we have shoulds ourselves.
Yeah,
and it's a trap.
Shed the should.
Yeah, shed the should. We'll start a new movement, new trend. Shed the should. Yeah, like straight after the No Blind campaign, we'll get into shed the should.
My shed the should is definitely going to win over your No Blind. That just
All right, okay.
What I'm trying to say is the ideas that sometimes that clients have of themselves. I think as a therapist, when I first trained, I really mainly thought about the attachment and the interactions with people, whether it was in childhood, whether it was in adolescence, whether it was in adulthood. But actually, I've really noticed that it's not just that. It's actually the whole idea in society of who you should be as well, which is impacted obviously by social media and even workplaces and all that kind of stuff. There's so many more indirect messages that we get that develop our sense of self.
I think with the shoulds, my reaction to that as a therapist is everything that goes along with the should. Like the should implies judgment, it
Yeah.
implies failure, it implies criticism,
Harshness. Hmm.
harshness, exactly. And when I'm met with a client that seems that they're failing their lives, it touches the narrative that they have around themselves in their lives,
Hmm.
then we can have a very kind of closed idea of this is who I need to be, this is
Yeah.
who I should be. And the should is the enemy of curiosity, like being
Mm.
able to explore and wonder, like you say, where did that voice come from? How did somebody turn into the person that they are?
Hmm.
And I think with the manosphere, or what I understand of the manosphere, like how men and boys are told that this is what it is to be a man,
Yeah.
that is an overcorrection or a reaction from the empowerment of women.
Mm.
And by empowerment, all I mean in that is women and girls being given the same choices and the same chances as men.
Yeah.
Like when women were allowed actually into the workforce, and men felt threatened, and men are being managed by women. And like, what the hell is that about? This was supposed to be our arena. And now
Mm. That's an idea. Yeah.
that was the idea. That's the way it should have been.
Mm.
And some men are having a real hard time in adjusting to that. And there has been a pushback. Like
Hmm.
where there's the manosphere on one side, there's the trad wive movement on the other side, where well, what do you understand about the trad wife movement? Says he, backing away very quietly, politely.
What do you mean? Like, just on what you've just said there as well, I'm just going to go back to something you said. You said
Okay.
that some men are finding it a little bit difficult to
Mm.
essentially navigate that, and some of them are voicing it, and some of them are doing it by actions. But even you saying the indirect messages that we get that develop our sense of selves are difficult to catch. It's also difficult to catch for men who don't recognize that they have an issue with women managing them, or don't recognize that they have an issue with women working alongside them.
Yeah. Oh, because it's not me, it's you.
Yeah.
Like I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
So and
Because I've always been.
yeah, exactly. And I've worked hard. I've gone to college. I've gotten my degree. I have my full-time job, and life isn't working out the way it was promised to me. So it
Mm-hmm.
has to be somebody else's fault because I followed all the regulation.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for the other to blame, and that could be women in the workforce. It could be migrants. It could be the government. It could be whoever.
Mm-hmm.
What's in my mind is with these episodes, we are covering the basics and we're covering the foundation. But as we go along, things are getting more complicated. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, that you guys, the audience, are seeing where there is an interplay. Like the
Yeah.
reason why we talked about boundaries and toxic relationships and conflict styles, each is going to begin to lean onto the other.
Mm-hmm.
So with this, where if I'm feeling disappointed in my life and my boundary is I need to be successful, if I'm not successful or if I'm not respected, then I'm going to react against that. So
Mm-hmm.
then there's a defensiveness that comes into play. With the defensiveness comes that kind of toxicity of it's not me, it's you. It has to be you because
Projection. Mm.
I'm not in a position where I can be vulnerable or admit my mistakes or disappointment. And then that conflict style means I'm going to rage against everything else.
I think that's something that comes up a lot in the room, is recognizing that the really harshness, the harshness and the projection onto somebody else, or the blaming.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course, it's not a nice interaction to have with someone if someone's blaming you, or if someone's being toxic, or if someone is bullying you, even, workplace bullying, that they're not nice positions to be in, and they're not okay, and there should be boundaries around it.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking as a therapist, those reactions are protecting someone's insecurities or vulnerabilities, and maybe feelings of not being good enough, and
Yeah.
that, that's their sense of self really underneath.
And I think that's why the manosphere, that
God, you love that word
projection,
today.
that projection of men going back to the hunter gatherer idea, that's where it comes from. Like there's this reversion back to the way things used to be, and this movement of like, I mean, there was something about not washing your hair for like months because that's how cavemen
Oh.
did it. Like brilliant, but that was before we had shampoo. Like what's going on, you There is a reversion back to
Mhm.
the nostalgia of back in the day, things used to be less complicated and perfect
Simpler
and
times. Yeah.
simpler times, and they weren't.
Mhm.
Going back to when men didn't have emotions, they weren't allowed to have emotions, they weren't supposed to express emotions. There is the strong man element. And
Yeah.
again, we're kind of dealing within the social media world in particular. And in social media, somebody's making money off it.
They are, and also on the other side of things, it's like this: if he's not a man, or if he's
Mhm.
not acting like a man, on the women's
What
side of it.
what does that mean for you, acting like a man?
Oh, I think it's different for me. I take people as they are. I do obviously have certain ideas of what I'd like a relationship to be, or a dynamic to be in a relationship where both people look after each other. But I think it's when one idea is way louder, like it is on social media, than the other. Of if the man isn't taking care of you, isn't bringing you water at nighttime, if he's not earning more money than you, if he's not paying for every dinner, if he's not driving you, if he's not being really forward, if he's not being very intentional with his words from the very beginning. There's so much pressure to
Mhm.
be externally perceived as strong and forward. But then that makes it really difficult for men, because if they're too strong and too forward, then women are going to go, whoa, 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 you're stressing me out, or you're too much. So difficult to navigate.
Yeah, that trap. We're falling into kind of cliches and tropes here, but
Mm.
there is a trap of, say, I'm interested in a woman. I explain my interest. She says no. I go, right, fair enough. Thanks very much for your time. Good
Hmm.
luck. I'm gone. She's having a conversation with her friends, going like, where did that guy go? Like, I mean,
Mm.
he was so nice, and all of a sudden he's disappeared. Well, what happened? I rejected him. Okay, so he went. Well, he was supposed to chase me.
Yeah.
The games that people play. And then if the man chases, that's giving stalker.
Yeah.
So
It's giving stalker. It's giving too much. It's giving, you're pressuring me. I think it's hard for both sides.
absolutely.
But you're in a dance and nobody knows what song is on.
But they think they do.
It's like a silent disco. They both have their own headphones on, but neither person knows what fucking song is playing.
That's a great image. Somebody's listening to Sabrina Carpenter and somebody else is listening to Metallica, and it's like, yeah, let's dance together.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how do we deal with that? What I'm suggesting is like, and this is where we're kind of moving into the podcast part of it as opposed
Hmm.
to the therapy part of it.
Hmm.
Like, just drop the shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, stop the shoulds.
Yeah.
Have that exploration and that curiosity and be who you want to be. And what does that look like?
Mm.
Because sometimes it might be I am fulfilled as a person when I'm out working and I'm earning lots of money, and that's where I get my sense of value. For other
Hmm.
people, it's completely the opposite.
Yeah.
And like I'm thinking about Flo in our case study and how much she valued money and success.
And
And
had
her,
such a rigid idea of her life.
yeah, and Jack just didn't.
Hmm.
You can only be the best version of you. You can't be somebody else's version of you.
Yeah.
And I think that the music that we hear is based on what we integrate, whether
Yeah.
that's like the Disneyfication of romance. And I know that you're a helpless
I am.
romantic.
I am.
But then there's also that narrative of kind of Beauty and the Beast. We'll find a bad boy or a bad girl, and that we as people like sometimes are attracted to the project or
Hmm.
attracted to the drama. And it's like,
Hmm.
if I could change somebody, and we want to have that co-created development or see ourselves as a savior. And that
Hmm.
can be really harmful because we can't change another person. The other person needs to want to change.
Hmm.
And that's really fucking hard to accept because love doesn't conquer all.
No, and also I'll be very transparent here. I was told before that I, at times, tried to find passion projects, which is something that really made me think about my ideas of relationship. I'm bringing my own stuff into this, trying to potentially rescue people. And I have this idea that people need to be rescued. And I think even through being a therapist over the last couple of years, I've really recognized that it's not always about what you want from somebody else. It's what are you bringing into this that's maybe creating this idea
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah, and like that, sometimes you get what you're looking for.
Yeah.
As in, if you're looking for a bad guy, a bad girl, you're going to end up with a bad guy or a bad girl. And then when
Hmm.
they don't change, they're going to keep behaving like they were in the first place. And
Mhm.
but now you're going to be on the receiving end of it.
Yeah.
That thing of going out with somebody who has cheated on their partner to be with
Mhm.
you, and then being shocked when
Yes.
they cheat on you to be with somebody else because they have love bombed you or given you the
Mhm.
message that you're different and they've never felt this way before. And they're saying all of those things that they always say in the start of relationships.
Yeah.
Have a look at toxic relationships and boundaries and all the previous
Mm.
episodes to see where everything links
I
together
was
with.
just gonna say it's giving previous episodes, but as you said at the
Yeah,
beginning, it does. They all they all overlap. They do.
I think there is a bit of resistance in the room when we work, like the therapist and the client work together to explore what's underneath that projected personality.
Mhm.
And there can be a sense of, well, this has served me well enough, and I don't want to let go of my criticism.
Mhm.
So it's learning to be a bit more accepting and compassionate with ourselves. And I say that so much in the room. And each client I've ever had has probably been sick to death of me saying
Yeah.
it. But I keep saying it because it's true.
Mhm.
And eventually, over time, it does sink in and they start absorbing it and then they start seeing results. I don't see it as taking away something. I see it
No.
as giving something.
Yeah.
Like you're very good at the criticism. You're very good at the stubbornness. You're very good at the defensiveness. Brilliant. Now let's add something to that where it's possible to be a bit more open. It's possible to be vulnerable.
Possible to be a bit more flexible.
Exactly, exactly. And that's where things change. That's where instead of listening to the music, you're observing the dance of each other
Mhm.
and seeing how you might fit into that rhythm. Um, shall we move on then onto gender wars?
Yes.
So then we're kind of we have looked at the identity that
Mm.
we give ourselves and then the
Yeah.
narrative that we build around that. In specifically with this episode, we wanted to look at kind of gender norms and how that impacts how we are in relationship with ourselves and how we are in relationship with others, our partners. And this can be a bit heteronormative, I suppose,
Mm. Yeah.
because when we're talking about what it is to be a man or what it is to be a woman, there's the gender aspect to it as opposed to the sexuality aspect of it.
Yeah.
But even within the identity, then there can be like, what does it look like to be a gay man, or what should a gay man look like? And again, there's those shoulds. And
Mm.
with lesbians, there's also that idea of what kind of a lesbian, or what does a lesbian look
Yeah.
like? How should I dress? People are kind of looking to see where do they fit in. We don't want to be othered.
Well, when in circumstances where they don't have an example of that,
Hmm.
we take the context if someone is sexual and they have two parents, a man and a woman,
Hmm.
there's a very kind of clear experience of that. But if somebody is a feminine lesbian and they don't have that person or that example,
Hmm.
there are so many shoulds, because then it's not coming from their own world, if that makes sense. It's coming from social media, it's coming from other ideas, far more strong, in my opinion, far more strongly than if it was a heterosexual person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think there is an importance with gay pride parades
Hmm.
that there is a kind of a counter culture where there's a reaction against, well, why do the gays need a parade?
Yeah.
And the LGBTQ plus identity has been so suppressed and so hidden
Hmm.
that there haven't been any role models. There hasn't been
Yeah.
anyone for somebody that identifies like that to look up to or model themselves against or even in contrast to. So there is a service being done with the gay pride parades because it
Agree.
brings people out and it shows like there is no one way of being gay.
Hmm.
Right? There is no one
Yeah.
way of presenting yourself. Like, what does a straight man look like? What does a gay man look like?
Hmm.
And with all of the other identities that are out there, it is becoming more and more personal, which does get confusing
Yeah, it does.
because there's kind of inbuilt into that is an othering. I am a man and I'm comfortable in myself as a man, but I might see another man and decide I'm not like him, but that's okay for me.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that he's wrong. It just means he's living his best life. I'm living my best life, and,
I'm living the
that's
best
it.
life.
Yeah. So it is going back to the toxic relationships and the
Mm-hmm.
conflict styles. If I'm right, you have to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you look like me, dress like me, feel like me, talk like me, then there has to be something wrong with you, but because there can't be something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And again, like back to the implied messaging,
Mm-hmm.
that can be really, really impactful and really harmful because
Yeah.
there's nothing to kind of fight against.
Yeah.
It's like being told, "Oh, well, I was only joking," and
Mm-hmm.
you have a problem for being too sensitive.
Yeah.
And like, there's nothing wrong with being sensitive. Being empathic is a good thing, but you also need to have some emotional boundaries. It's okay to say no. It's okay to value
Yeah.
yourself as much as somebody else. And then that's a resource if you're being attracted into, well, here's this project.
Mm.
Here's this person that I can give all my energy to, and it'll make me feel better about myself when they, the frog that I kiss turns into a prince. But actually,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's just a frog,
Yeah.
unless they go and do their own work and like have their glow up and then come back. But
Yeah.
you're not going
Glow
to,
up.
yeah, yeah. Uh, can we say something about the attraction to the drama, the toxicity of the toxic girlfriend or the bad guy?
Mm.
What is so enticing about those archetypes?
I think a lot of it at the beginning comes from lust, the
Hmm.
excitement of it all, the
Hmm.
excitement of someone paying attention, someone
Hmm.
seeing you, someone wanting to spend time with you. And
Hmm.
particularly if that's something that you feel you may not deserve. I think that's a big part of it as well. Oh my God, how could somebody possibly want to spend time with me? I feel so special.
Hmm.
That's addictive.
Yeah, but like if somebody is wanting to spend time with you, that could be normal, friendly, kind, open.
Hmm.
Like if
Yeah.
somebody is treating you badly, if they are acting as if they don't want to spend time with you, what's attractive about that?
I think it's the roller coaster.
Yeah.
They're not continuously 24 hours a day doing that. It's the little nuggets and breadcrumbs. I think I said that in another episode, but breadcrumbs of little moments of hope that you
Hmm.
may be able to convince this person that you are enough
Hmm.
or you are worthy and particularly worthy of being loved.
Hmm.
That's it. And again, it kind of comes back to the passion project thing of and if you have that innate need to rescue someone or to help someone or pick them up when they're down,
Hmm.
and you get satisfaction when you see those moments, because it can work temporarily. It can work, and people will go, oh, there's the big apology, and there's I'm so sorry, and I didn't mean it, and of course I want to spend time with you. Of course I think you're amazing. I would never do that to hurt you.
Hmm.
Those are the moments that you hold on to, because those are the
Yeah.
moments that you temporarily feel safe in.
Yeah, but then they're also the words that you want to hear, so
Yeah.
that we tend just to hear them unquestioningly, going, "Oh, finally, there you go," and not look for actually, is this congruent? Is this truth that's being spoken, or is this a plaster over a wound that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
going to fester?
Is this consistent? How do I actually feel when I'm with this person? Like, how does my
Hmm.
body react when I'm with this person? Am I on edge? Am I waiting for the moment where everything, shit's going to hit the fan again?
Hmm.
Or am I feeling relaxed because I know that their default is to make me feel safe?
There is a difference in between the romantic fantasy, the Disneyfication, Beauty and the Beast,
Mm,
the Prince Charming, kissing the frog, whatever it is, that we can change the person.
yeah.
And the drama is exciting. Like, it is exciting to be with somebody that you would not usually go for because it's new and exciting. That there is this animalistic attraction,
Yeah.
and that will keep you going for a while until it
Like
becomes,
adrenaline. Hmm.
yeah, exactly, until it becomes normal again or
Mm,
boring, or that, okay, this is where this extreme reaction is going to come in, or
yeah.
this is where the fight's going to happen, and it just gets, what's new can quickly become jaded.
Hmm.
I think there is also a tendency of people to really oversimplify things, to
Mhm.
kind of try and shave people down to fit them into a nice, neat little box. You are this, I am that.
Yes, yeah.
And if we are attracted to a person who has certain kind of toxic traits
Mhm.
or traits that are problematic, we'll move away from the toxicity, but then we expect them to be perfectly well behaved in our other circumstances.
Yeah.
And actually, they're a whole person. And if they are a bit messy, like that can be okay. Messy doesn't need to be a bad thing, but don't then expect them to be other than they are.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's our own expectations of I find it's our own expectations of ourselves that I cannot do wrong. I have to have everything at a certain standard. I have to have everything at a certain level. Therefore, you can't either.
So, how do we break out peace then with the gender wars?
That's a big question.
Yeah,
I think shed the shoulds. Honestly, shed the shoulds. I love it. But
shed the shoulds. Yeah,
being willing to accept first your own script
yeah.
and being willing to gently challenge it. But it's a slow process, but I think it does start with being willing to be challenged or challenge yourself.
Yes.
If someone challenged whether or not you were a man, it's
Mm,
so different to a label that
absolutely.
you've adopted.
And it's so complicated. Like
Yeah.
it's so deep. I was reading something the other day, but it was uh, a transgender boy being interviewed. And
Hmm.
the quote was that the boy was saying how silly a question it was to be asked how he knew he was a boy.
Hmm.
Putting it back to the other person, like how do you know you're a woman?
Yeah.
How do you know you're a man? Like how do you know this?
Yeah.
That is something that is very complex, and we will get to it at
Hmm.
some point. But it must be incredibly difficult living with a sense that you are not who you are,
Mm.
or you are not who the world perceives you to be.
I was just
But
going to say, yeah.
on a much lighter part of that, within relationships, there is that, well, like, are you a real man? Or a real man wouldn't cry, or a real man would pay for dinner all the time.
Yeah.
A real man wouldn't expect me to work. Well, a real
Yeah.
woman would have the bed made all the time and have
Yeah.
my
Real
shirt
woman would
ironed
have
and have
dinners.
the yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that gets more complicated for women now, like the pressure that's put on women, because it's like all of those expectations that
Hmm.
were back in the day,
Hmm.
I feel women still have that, but it's also, well, you need to work now. You need to
Hmm.
work as hard as you can. You need to have a really good career. You
Yeah,
need to push yourself. You've
yeah,
asked for this. You've
yeah,
wanted to work.
yeah,
Why do you not, it's everything
yeah,
on top of
yeah.
the previous expectations.
Yeah. For women, what's happened is ye have been given permission. Yeah, go out and work.
Hmm.
Brilliant. Go out and work
Yeah.
and then come home and do all of the jobs that you used to do as well.
And it's also the assumption that all women want to do all of those things at the same
Yeah, yeah,
level and with
yeah.
the same desire.
Yeah. And
You,
also
you know,
assumption that men want to do all of the other things.
yeah,
And that
they want to carry the house. Yeah.
if a man wants to be a stay-at-home partner,
Hmm.
that, well, he's not a real man.
Yeah.
And why is that choice any less valid for him than for anybody else?
Yeah.
We're going to have to move on because we
Yeah.
are quickly running out of time. I do want to move on to the case study.
Yes.
And today we are going to be meeting
Colin the caterpillar.
Colin. Colin the caterpillar, right? So, dear No Signs for Harm, I'm Colin, a 32-year-old who's just come out of a 6-month relationship. She would like to stay friends, which sounds like my worst nightmare. I wanted this woman to be my lover, my life partner. I'm
So
not
romantic.
interested in another friendship that comes from a failed relationship. I
Mhm.
don't know what I'm doing wrong. Well, actually, that's not true. I've been explicitly told what I'm doing wrong, but I find it so hard to believe. I guess enough is enough, though, and I should learn from the feedback and give them what they want. My last 2 girlfriends have told me that I'm too nice, that they want someone who will be a bit more assertive and take charge. I'm a nice guy. I'm considerate, caring. I always
Mm.
put my partner first. I would rather not fight about things. What is the point? If I don't care about something, what's wrong with going with their suggestions?
Mm.
I pride myself on being a gentleman, but all women these days seem to want is a bad boy, someone who doesn't give an F and fits in with the old cliche of treat them mean and keep them keen.
Oh.
That's not who I was raised to be, but I'm so sick of the rejection. On the apps, I generally get a consistent response, but it takes a while to move out of the conversational phase, if it does at all.
Yeah, tell me
I
about it.
want to get to know someone a bit more before I meet them IRL. I respond quickly to messages and am respectful at all times of their boundaries. If we do meet, I would never consider making a move on the first date and am very conscious of objectifying women. The hypocrisy of women frustrates me. What is wrong with being a nice guy? Why do they all want someone who will treat them like a piece of dirt? Please help me. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Collin.
Oh, what a gentle soul.
So,
What a gentle
Rachel,
soul.
why do you want a man that's going to treat you like a piece of dirt? That's what Colin's asking.
I don't. Oh, it's so
Well, that's
hard.
what all women want, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Fuck no, Owen. No.
Sometimes, though.
Yeah, sometimes. It depends on your
Wow.
mood.
Okay.
It depends on your mood, what the intention of the date is, what point in your life you're at, what you've gone through. Maybe I'm just speaking about myself, but yeah, it's hard because it sounds like he's making himself smaller on these dates, like afraid of stepping a foot out of line.
Before we get into Colin, let's talk about women.
Okay.
What is your problem?
We want someone to be assertive, but not too assertive. No, like be assertive, take charge, pick a date, pick a place, pick a time, no fluffiness.
If I'm not bothered and you have somewhere you want to go, shouldn't we just go where you want to go?
No, where's the initiative?
What initiative? Like
Where's the oomph?
you're telling me the oomph.
Yeah, so I'm going to just lead the way. Like, is that an indicator of the rest of my life?
What if I don't give you what you want, and if I show a bit of oomph, then you're just going to bitch at me for saying that I never give you what I want and I never listen to you and I don't pay attention. So, like, how can I win, Rachel?
No, why don't you try? Why don't you dip your toe in the water? Why don't you just say, how about 7:30? Or even, do you want me to pick a time? That would be fucking great, Colin. Would you please?
But, like, come on, like, you, and by the way, when I say you, I mean you. No, I mean, like,
okay, great.
This isn't actually me talking for the audience, right? This is the persona that I'm stepping into that represents what this male side of the argument might look like. If you want somebody to be assertive, you want somebody, or this girlfriend wanted Collin to be assertive, wanted Collin to be able to pick dates. I can kind of see his point, though. If he doesn't care, why should he? If she's so interested, if she's so passionate about it, what's wrong with giving her the space to do what she wants to do?
Because there's no ability then to have any kind of back and forth. There's no passion in that. There's no, I wouldn't even really say conflict, but I mean engagement in something. It feels more than likely for her a bit empty. Well, who are you then? Because if you don't have any opinions, if you don't have any input in this, it's all going to be me. And that's tiring. You know, if you're going on dates and you're being the one that drives a conversation or being the one that makes decisions or being the one that engages or asks questions, that's nice, but it's so fucking tiring after times. And then you come out of the date, when I say you, more than likely me, and I'm like, I'm really tired. That was really hard because the other person isn't actually showing parts of themselves.
But he's showing respect. He's not objectifying his date. He wants to please her. He wants to give her what she wants.
Well, that's boring for her, then, is the answer. Because if he's always going to do that, there's no excitement.
So that's why, thank you for answering the question, that's why women want a bad guy, is because it's boring otherwise. Like, women love the drama. That's what you're saying.
Not you're taking it to the extreme, but yes, basically. Yeah. I do love a bad guy. I can't lie. Yeah. It's the excitement. It's the back and forth.
For a good time or a long time, Rachel?
I think people say that men love the chase, but so do women.
Yes. Yeah.
Like 100%.
I think that is an issue with gender wars.
Yeah.
That we, men and women, expect this is my role and that's your role. And you don't come over on my side and I'm not going to get into your lane.
Yeah.
Men are supposed to like the chase. Women aren't. Women are supposed to be passive.
Yeah, and like
If a
the
man is
consistency and like the safety and like the...
exactly.
That's not the reality a lot of the time.
No, it's not. Some men don't like the chase. Some men, if a woman says, no, actually, I'm not interested, are going to go, thanks very much, see you later, good luck. And the woman is going to go,
Why
like,
didn't you
what
run
the hell
after
just
me?
happened there? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the guy's going to go, listen, I don't need that
yeah.
drama. And then, like, that's a whole thing, but that's a learning experience.
It's like that whole idea of when girls chat back and forth and they're like, oh, don't answer him for 2-3 hours, leave him waiting. He may not give a shit. He literally may
Yeah,
not
yeah,
give a shit how long you
yeah,
wait to text him back. He may not be
yeah,
thinking into the fact that you're busy, like you want him to, that you're busy and you have a life and you have things to do. He may just be like,
yeah,
okay, she texts me back now. Like everybody's different. And I think
yeah,
those ideas of, oh my God, he's going to think now that I have a life, or think I'm on another date tonight if I don't respond to him. It's like,
yeah,
probably not. Maybe he doesn't give a shit. Maybe
yeah.
he's here to be here.
And sometimes on the other end of things, it's like, well, she's not responding to me because she's playing a game. And
Yes.
I hate that game playing, or she or he, because we can equally
Mm-hmm.
project that out, each gender onto the other, or any gender onto the other. The
Mm-hmm.
person that I want to text me, they're playing a game. Actually, they could just be really busy.
Yeah.
Or that might be their conversation style. Or you might have just gone on one date and they've sent I've really enjoyed myself, great date, I'll get back
Necessary
to you.
text,
And
by the way.
they
Mm-hmm.
necessary text. I mean, that's just politeness, guys.
Exactly.
And that's a non-gendered guys, like, come on.
Yeah.
So with that drama, the attraction of the drama,
Mm-hmm.
the game playing, what's a nice guy to do?
Find someone that'll accept him.
Find somebody that can accept him. But you've just slated poor old Collin.
Speaking for other women.
Or, okay, sorry, all other women have just slated poor old Collin for
Yeah.
being a nice guy and consciously not objectifying women.
No, I think he's too conscious. That's what I meant at the beginning. I think he seems in this anyway to be
Hmm.
fearful of taking any
Hmm.
step forward.
Hmm.
I would ask him, what's the risk of taking a little bit of charge? I'm not saying change your personality and become super assertive and run the
Yeah,
entire relationship.
yeah.
Is there something in him that feels like it's a huge risk to do that?
It's interesting that use of kind of taking charge. Like,
Mm,
there's kind of looking for that almost kind of being controlled or being swept off your feet or being physically picked up and placed
mm.
somewhere.
Yeah, it's like the alpha.
It's like the alpha, right?
Such a girly
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah, that was me being you giggling at the idea of being lifted up and placed somewhere. But again, like, Colin is going to be very respectful and act with full consent. So
Mhm.
he's never going to sweep somebody off their feet because he's going to ask, is it okay if I do this?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
what's funny about that?
No, but just the way you worded that is quite funny. Yeah,
Okay.
but it's kind of like what we spoke about a little while ago about he also has, it seems, decided that I'm not like that. I don't do that.
Yes.
That's fine if that's the way you are, but also, like, where is the you challenging yourself? Because he's gone from one extreme to the next. He said, I'm not like that, and then he said, I'll just give them what they want. That's like that
Yes.
massive jump. Like, to find the middle ground. Like, what
Yep.
can you maybe look at that's holding you back a bit in this?
Yeah. And he has decided that, I mean, there is a toxic trait of being a nice guy.
Mm,
And there is a whole genre, I suppose, of men who sell themselves or package themselves as the nice guy.
yeah,
And if you don't respond well to that, there's something wrong with you, that
yeah.
you don't appreciate that he wants to drive you everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of controlling. He's holding the door out for you all of the time. Like, I'm an independent person with functioning arms. I can open the door myself. Thanks very much. Like, that gets controlling.
Yeah,
But if you're packaging it as, well, I'm just being a nice guy, what's your problem? You're
yeah.
the psycho bitch.
Mm.
It's again that kind of confrontation, othering, you don't have a sense of humor, but what I'm saying is fine.
It's also telling me as well that if we're going to put it in the context of a nice guy and not a nice girl or whatever, but if that's their response, it's also with bad intention at times. It's not necessarily coming from a place of, this is who I am, I'm a nice guy. Because if they're doing those
Yeah.
behaviors with the undertone of, well, what's your problem? You're a psycho bitch. Then you're doing that with a certain intention that's not necessarily well-intentioned, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But again, there is a small percentage, like I do have hope for humanity. I think that there are a very small percentage of people that are malignant actors.
Yes.
That most other people, there is an insecurity, there's a defensiveness, there is a wound there that stops them fully embracing different aspects of themselves. So
Yeah.
for Collin, I see an incongruence there, that he has told himself this is the way that he should be. Like, that's how he was raised. There is a narrative there, a story of what good guys do and what bad guys do.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important for him to be a good guy.
Very
But
important.
very important. But good guys have opinions.
Yeah.
You don't have to take charge as in to be controlling. Like, you can be assertive. You can say, actually, no, I want to eat Chinese tonight, or let's go to this movie. Like, those small little things, for him, they're inconsequential, but they're also kind of showing that he's not really that bothered about himself and his own wants. And maybe he's not that in touch with, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
And that it's okay for him to have his voice, and the partner mightn't agree, but that's okay too within the relationship. But he deserves to have an equal share in the relationship, and he deserves to have his voice heard.
Yeah. And he, like, it sounds as well that he's very passive in it because it's safer for him. And when I said take charge, I think I meant it in both ways. I think for a woman, it's like the perception that a man should take charge and lead a date and lead everything and, use their initiative and be forward, but not too forward, and all those kind of more complicated ideas. But it's also what you've said, like, take charge of his own opinion, his own choices. And I think maybe for him, he may have an idea that taking charge of his own opinion and his own choices means taking charge of her or objectifying her or having a negative impact on her.
Yeah. Look, this episode in general, it's controversial adjacent. We're skirting around things.
Words.
Right? Words, yeah. I'm going to mention consent here. That for Collin, it is obviously really important that he gets consent for everything.
Yeah.
And as a person, like, consent is hugely important. At the same time, within a relationship, that there can be a kind of base level of, listen, it's okay if you try and pick me up and put me somewhere, as long as you kind of read the room and I'm not sitting with my family, or I'm not in a work context. And there can be a broad giving of consent.
Yeah.
Now, a thing with consent is that it's not consistent and perpetual, i.e., a person can change their mind at any instant.
Yes.
But give that person an opportunity to change their mind. And that doesn't need to be a big deal. That can just be, actually, I'm not in the mood today, or, I'm not feeling the kiss, or I'd prefer if you didn't.
Yeah.
And that can be left there. You have repeatedly told me that I have consent to call you a girl. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that. So you're not controlling me, Rachel. So you're not going to make me call you a girl, even if it makes me uncomfortable, even if it makes me uncomfortable. But I hear your consent. I appreciate it. And I will, work on that to some degree or another.
Thanks, Owen.
Collin seems to be making the decisions himself and trying to get ahead of every possible argument.
Yeah.
And his conflict style is avoidant.
Avoidant. I wouldn't even say get ahead. I'd say just completely avoid. Like skirt around is the word that you used, but completely avoid and bury his head in the sand before anything happens.
Yeah. And there could be a partner out there for him. Like, absolutely. But then don't blame women just because he hasn't found the one, or that possibly group of women, because I don't believe there's one person for one person in this world. But he hasn't found someone who matches with him.
Yeah.
So either he's patient with that and he accepts that, or he starts looking at, well, maybe there is something that I'm doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The problematic piece of this for me is he's decided, what am I doing wrong? And he's gone completely in the other
Yeah, the
direction.
extreme.
I
Like,
now have to be
give
a
them what they
bad
want.
guy.
Yeah.
Give them what they want. I'm going to treat them badly. No woman is explicitly going to say, unless it's part of a role play and there's consent involved, like,
Yeah.
treat me badly,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But what these women, these last two relationship has said to him is, we want to hear your opinion. We
Yeah.
want you to show a bit of interest or a bit of passion in the relationship.
Which tells me that if he's not doing that, even though he's been asked that, then there is a perceived threat in him doing that.
Yeah.
Which is his own stuff,
It is his own stuff. Absolutely. And it's okay to be whatever version of a man he is. He doesn't need to be macho. He doesn't need to be like that bullshit about alpha. That's coming from wolves, and that theory has long been disproved. And the beta seems to be a lot cleverer because they manipulate the alpha to get them to do what they want to do anyway, and there's no risk involved, and it's fine, Anyway, we need to wrap this up. So for Collin, he's asking for help. Please help. I feel like I'm losing my mind. As a woman, as a girl, what are you telling him?
As a woman, I would say experiment. You don't have to jump headfirst into being the man or the idea of whatever bad boy that's been put out there or that you think that women want. Try to really ask yourself what you want in something. Like, what do you actually want from women, instead of constantly putting this expectation on yourself of what you need to give them or how you need to skirt around their issues or how you need to avoid arguments with them. Like, what is it you're looking for? And then what do you bring to it? What's your value?
Yeah. For me, what I'm saying to him is recognizing that he has value to bring to a relationship. Like that, if couples never fight, I always find that a little bit suspicious. It's as if one party or maybe both party aren't truly bringing themselves authentically into the relationship. They're kind of holding back and they're not showing each other who they really are. It's like going on dates with people. Those early dates, you don't show somebody you're full crazy. You save that until there's a bit of commitment on it.
Till they're stuck.
All right. Listen, everybody, just thanks again for tuning in today. Thank you for your work, Rachel. And I just want to mention our producer, Evie, who does an awful lot in the background with editing and putting a bit of sense on what we're saying.
And please do like, share, subscribe, all of the good things on wherever you find your podcasts. We really do appreciate any feedback that we get. And if there is something in particular you would like us to address or some challenge that you've been facing in your life that you would love an outside perspective on, please do send us an email on hello@noclientswereharmed.com.
We will meet you again for our next episode when we're going to be taking a bit of a look at family dynamics. As usual, and as always, no clients were harmed. Look after yourselves and each other. And if you're going to take the piss, make sure that it's not toxic.
Thank you so much.